Hey everyone, it's Matt Fritzsche, of course, with 1% More in your Amplified Minds channel. Today's message comes from Daymond John's book, Rise and Grind. In that, there's a gentleman who's talking about, rather than looking up at the peak and always looking at how far you have to go, make sure you always are looking back to see how far you've come. The guy that he's talking about, his name is Kyle. I forget his last name, but Kyle's overcome a lot through his own little ordeals where I guess he's missing some limbs, but the guy still came out and he was a fantastic wrestler. He climbed all these high peaks and did all sorts of good stuff for his situation. And I, however, fell in love with that idea, because if you know us, we are always about vision boards. We're always about setting these massive goals. Now, he's not necessarily saying don't set massive goals, don't set big goals, but he's telling you to make sure you're always looking back to see how far you've come. And that'll help motivate you and help keep pushing you along so you aren't always looking at how far you have to go. Now, if there's one thing that is very true about goal setting, is that it takes the right kind of individual to set a massive goal and stay motivated throughout the entire goal and not lose focus and not get down on yourself if things go wrong or challenges come about. But there are, of course, those who can make it work. They can grind through. Now, whoever you are, I still think it is so important that you always are making sure you see how far you've come. So, in addition to my own vision board, it's important for someone like myself to keep track of my little wins every single day. Make sure that I'm acknowledging every single time something great happens that pushes me towards my goal. Whether it's writing it in a journal, maybe it's making a quick little note in your phone, maybe it's just having a conversation with your spouse or your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister or your kids. Either way, you have to make sure that you are always reflecting on how far you've come. It is a motivational, I guess, tool to help propel us along, because if we can only see how far we have to go, we can see the distance and we can get tired pretty quick. But if we can constantly look back and see win after win after win after win, struggle that you overcame, fear that you overcame, you can always look ahead and go, can't be worse than that. It can get better. And it only gets better the closer and closer I get to my goal. But you know the feeling of what it takes to win, and that's what's most important in looking back and seeing how far you've come. Now, how can you apply this to, well, your current situation? Again, that's up to you, however you want to do it. I think that it'd be great to keep a little journal, just to keep a journal of wins. In fact, one of the books that I wrote was Positivity, the Powerful Beginning, and with that came the positive journal. And in that positive journal, that was literally the intent of the whole journal, was to keep track of every single thing that's good that happened to you that day. I noticed a massive difference when I used it. The reason why that book was inspired is because I saw a whole group around me who were giving up. They were quitting. They were running away from where they wanted to be and what they wanted to be doing. The second that they started keeping track of all those wins, I'll tell you, I actually followed up with these individuals after I gave them a challenge to use this every day. At the beginning, they only recognized 2-3 good things that happened to them a day, and generally they weren't very good things. They were just like, they tried to force it. But after just a couple weeks of me really pressing them to keep track of every good thing that happened to them that day, all of a sudden they're giving me a couple hundred different wins that happened to them, and their complete demeanor completely changed. All of a sudden they went from being super negative about their day and their situation to owning the world. And they ended up being some of the more successful individuals that I had seen. So again, the point is simply make sure that you're keeping track of all your wins, because if you can't recognize how far you've come, you're certainly never going to have the energy to get where you want to go. You're never going to have the energy to climb the peak. You're never going to stay motivated enough to finish the journey. So make sure you're looking back always and seeing how far you've come. Thanks, everyone. It's Matt Fritzsche, of course, with 1% More and Amplified Minds.